What are the three keys to experience a vibrant and alive relationship? Right? If you have this question, this video is for you. I think every one of us is looking for relationships. I think that's the most important in our life, right? The connections we foster, the connections we nourish, then we nurture, because that nourishes us. And sometimes it's difficult to have relationships that actually make us connect, especially that people understand us. I think that's something we're looking for. But if you look around, it's very difficult, and maybe in your relationship as well, to have this vibrance, to have this connection with others, especially with our intimate partner. Right? So in this video, I'm going to give you the three keys that I teach on my brand, Brad and Lola, which form a code that I call the connection and intimacy code. Why I call it like that? Because we are moving from connection to intimacy, and that's why we need three keys, because there's a missing one that is not told in the name, which is attraction, but we'll come to that. So the first key is very simple, is communication, right? Are we able to communicate? Are we communicating enough? Are we sharing how we think? How we think. Are we sharing what we're thinking about? Are we sharing how we're feeling? Are we sharing what we're doing? Or we are just sharing what we want to share? Are we fully committed to our relationship and actually communicating, over communicating? Are we sharing? Are we, are we knowing even how we feel? Or are we keeping secrets? Are we keeping things from our partner, from our relationships? Are we fully transparent? Right? That's all around the topic of communication and something we call honest communication, right? So that's the first key. Why is that the first key? Because when we communicate, we connect. As soon as we don't communicate, we don't connect, we disconnect. Why? Because everyone is living their own reality. Everyone is on their own mind and feelings and so on. So I don't know what's happening in the other side, on the other person. I can project. That's what we do. We project into the other person. We assume, we guess, we think with our own story, with our own perspectives. We think and we guess what the other person might be thinking, might be feeling. But that's usually one of the cases why we generate emotions that are not true, because whatever we assume, whatever we project is not tied to the reality. It's just what I am thinking about because of my experience, because of my story, because of my past relationships, because of what happened to me. But this doesn't have to do with the reality that the other person is doing. And most of the cases, we're taking things personally, right? So if we're able to ask, we're able to communicate, hey, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. Not only what I'm feeling and thinking, but also asking the other person, what are you feeling? What are you thinking, right? There's a whole world around the communication, honest communication. That's why we built with my wife this brand, Brad and Lola, and we have several educational products so you learn how to communicate with your partner. So the next key is, once we have the connection, right? How do we move from connection, which could be just a friendship, into a intimate relationship, right? We need first something very important, which is the sexual desire, the attraction, the magnetism, the pull between each other, right? That's the second key. Because if we just have communication and connection and trust, that's the foundation of any relationship. The relationship with your parents, the relationship with your siblings, the relationship with your coworkers, with your friends, and with your partner as well. But that doesn't mean that we are in a romantic relationship. We are in a loving relationship, right? The difference between a friendship and a loving relationship is attraction. So we want to build that. That's the second key. And the third key is intimacy, right? We want to get intimate with each other. Intimate means to be able to see in the other, intimacy, right? And I'm only going to do that if I know what's happening in the other side. I'm only going to do that if I share everything that is inside, right? That's why we have the honest communication. But then we need to get physical. We need to touch each other. We need to kiss each other. We need to have sex. We need to have this intimacy. But how to go about an intimacy that is not the default, which is a sexual one, one that we see in pornography? Then we need to learn tools. We need to learn what's our arousal type. We need to know our body parts. Our body, it's not the mind, it's just our body is a whole sensory thing. So we need to know what we like, what we need, where our boundaries as well, right? There's a whole world to learn around how to go into a nourishing intimacy that just is not penetration, intercourse, or being in bed. I think intimacy is a whole area that doesn't have to do just with sex, right? So there you go. There you go. You have the three keys, very, very shortly explained, right? We need to communicate. We need to communicate, right? The question to ask is, am I communicating enough? Am I communicating my thoughts, my feelings, my behaviors, my actions, what I'm doing, right? The more I communicate, the more connection I will have, for sure. How is the attraction? How is the desire? I'm still attracted to my partner. Is my partner still attracted to me? Are we nourishing our roles? Are we nourishing that attraction between each other? And of course, if we're not doing that, of course, the question of are we having intimacy, it will be answered. Is a nourishing one. Am I having a nourishing intimacy, or am I having a default intimacy, right? Intimacy that doesn't fill me up, my soul, my soul, right? It's just a mental intimacy. It's a mechanical intimacy. It's a flat intimacy, right? So you want to work on those three things all the time. It's not just that I work just on one. I need to work on the communication, on the connection. I need to work on the desire, the attraction, and I need to work on the intimacy, right? And when you work on those three, then you have a nourishing intimacy, you have a vibrant relationship, you have a deep connection, you have actually what you want. So if you want to check that out, you can follow us on Instagram, on YouTube, or and see if one of our products resonates with you, and you can learn more on Brad and Lola.